What is your most interesting encounter with the police? I used to think every interaction with the police had to be terrifying. Then one random Tuesday proved me completely wrong. A few years ago, I worked the closing shift at a bookstore. By the time I locked up, it was almost midnight. The streets were mostly empty, so I decided to cut through a small city park instead of taking the longer route home. About halfway through the park, I noticed flashing lights behind me. A police cruiser slowly rolled up beside me. One officer stepped out and asked, "Ma'am, would you mind stopping for a second?" My stomach instantly dropped. I started running through everything I'd done that day, trying to figure out what I could possibly be in trouble for. The officer asked for my ID, then looked at me for a few seconds before saying, "We've had reports of someone matching your description. Looking into parked cars around here?" I actually laughed from pure nervousness. "I've been shelving romance novels for 8 hours," I said. "I promise that's the most suspicious thing I've done today." Neither officer laughed. Instead, they politely asked if they could look inside my backpack. I agreed immediately. Out came a half-eaten sandwich, 3 paperback books, a broken umbrella, and enough loose receipts to start a recycling center. One officer held up a thick mystery novel and said, "Planning a long night?" I smiled awkwardly. "No, I just have a buying books problem." That's when the mood finally relaxed. The second officer got a call on his radio, stepped away for a minute, then came back looking embarrassed. Apparently another patrol had already found the actual suspect 2 blocks away. The description they'd received was incredibly vague. Female, dark hoodie, backpack. That was basically half the people walking around downtown that night. The officer apologized several times and handed my license back. I figured that was the end of it, but then something unexpected happened. As I was putting everything back into my bag, one of the books slipped out and landed on the sidewalk. The younger officer picked it up. His eyes got wide. "No way. You've read this series?" I nodded. "It might be my favorite." He looked at his partner and said, "See? I told you someone else actually reads these." For the next 5 minutes, we stood there in the middle of the sidewalk talking about books. Imagine walking by and seeing a woman surrounded by 2 police officers, all arguing about which ending in a mystery series was better. People were definitely staring. When we finally wrapped up, the older officer smiled and said, "Well, this is probably the weirdest traffic stop I've ever been part of." I laughed. I wasn't even in traffic. As I started walking away, the younger officer called after me. "Oh, and next time, take the well-lit street instead of cutting through the park. It'll save all of us some paperwork." I took his advice. A week later, I was walking home again when I spotted the same patrol car parked outside a coffee shop. The older officer recognized me immediately. He rolled down the window and yelled, "Hey, reading anything good?" I held up the sequel I'd just bought. He gave me a thumbs up before driving away.